Hey everyone, Kili here from Long Range with the Lilies. Welcome back. This is episode 2 in our precision rifle reloading series. If this is your first time here, please make sure that you watch episode 1, which is brass prep. Today we are going to roll into load development. So without further ado, here we go.
All right, hey guys, so we've completed our brass prep, and now as far as load development goes, what we're going to do first is we're going to try to find our jump. Okay, where the bullet's going to be happiest and the distance off the lands.
Okay, so could you, for the viewers and people like me, I'm new to reloading, I have a basic understanding of it. What is jump?
Jump. Okay, so we have this is a kind of a picture of our chamber here. Now this is the barrel actually extends out like this, and this is what the inside of the chamber looks like.
Okay.
And what we have is, where the case goes. And if you can picture this right here is that spot where the brass stops, right there. And then this is free bore. So this is just space. There's no rifling, there's no lands and grooves. And so that looks like this. So we have kind of your traditional infield rifling. Looks like this. This is a 4-groove barrel, and this is really exaggerated, but here's our lands, here's our grooves, okay? And this is like full thickness rifling here. So that's this right here, and there's this kind of lead angle that goes in where it's a gradual, it's actually 1.5 degrees, so it's pretty gradual. But we have what's called free bore. So the bullet's sitting in here, and here's the bearing surface. So the fattest part of the bullet's right there, and that's what's going to fully engage into the lands and grooves of the rifling. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for this space right here. So we have free bore, and say if the fattest part of the bearing surface of the bullet's right here, right? Okay. And that's kind of what the bullet looks like right down in there. I'm a terrible artist, but anyway, so this space right here is jump. The amount of space that it takes to go from full, your bearing surface here, to full engagement, that space right there is our jump, okay? And a long time ago, some bench rest guys did a test, and they found that, and it's kind of a big deal, really, because you can really get super accurate stuff really close to the lands, or even a little bit jammed into the lands. That doesn't work for our sport because, most of your bench rests, they're kind of covered, they're on benches.
They're not out in the elements like we are.
They're not out in the elements, right?
Okay.
And they don't have to load up, 300 rounds
at
home, maybe even 2 or 3 weeks before, you go to a competition, and then expect it to do well.
Right.
We're looking for as close to bench rest accuracy as we can get, but we also need durability.
Right.
And what I found with, some of the closer we get to the lands, over time, those, we're burning away barrel as we shoot, or it's just melting away, really, is what's happening.
Right, because it's a combustion, right?
That's right.
Okay.
You're throwing a plasma jet down, a piece of steel, you're going to lose parts of your barrel every time you pull the trigger. And what we have is lands and grooves migrate. So you're actually rifling migrates down the barrel as we go. And, if you have a super accurate node at, say, 20 thousandths of an inch off, or jump 20 thousandths of an inch, over a course of 1 or 2 matches, you're going to have to go back and do that over again. You're going to have to figure out where 20 thou is again, and your accuracy will suffer. So if you're shooting good at 20 thou off, but 30 thou off, it doesn't shoot very good, and you don't know exactly where that fall off happens. I mean, you could be in the middle of a match and have a rifle that just doesn't shoot the way it's supposed to.
Nobody wants that.
Right. So, and this has been kind of a journey where, 5 years ago we did a video on a ladder test, a powder ladder test, and it just kind of modified the OCW, or optimal charge weight, right?
Okay.
Which is a super good way to do stuff. But we just used technology to help us out. We used a chronograph to kind of tell us where that starting point is, and it's not the end all be all, it's just where you start. really. It's like you just find these flat spots in velocity, and then you do your load development from there. It saves you a lot of time.
Okay, so to make sure I'm understanding this right, so to adjust the jump, that's how far the bullet is seated into the cartridge.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. And how much space we have from primary ignition when the bullet starts moving down the barrel to when it actually fully engages.
Okay.
And when we look at a lot of factory ammo and factory rifles, there's an enormous amount of jump built into these rifles, and they all seem to shoot pretty good. And they shoot just about every single type of ammo well as well. So it's not really predicated on what bullet you're shooting or how fast it's going. They have figured out that, you know, this is how far the bullet needs to go in order for it to, you know, before it fully engages, to shoot well. And just about everything shoots well. And when you think about like a Tikka or a Remington or a Savage or something like that, I mean, in order for them to keep the lights on and pay everybody, they made, you know, on a $1,000 rifle, they probably got $200 into it.
Right.
You know, so they got less into the whole entire rifle than what we're paying for just a barrel.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh yeah.
So how do they get those things to shoot good? They do it by having a whole bunch of freebore built into it. Because what happens is, as you know, we'll just go to here, the chalkboard a little bit. If we're really close or jammed into the lands, like we're jammed into the lands already, as soon as that powder or as soon as that primer goes off, it engraves the bullet in the lands and grooves, and now you have to burn all this powder in order to make enough pressure to break that stiction.
Okay.
Okay. Now if we're back off the lands and grooves a little bit, and as soon as that primer goes off, we have powder starting to burn, we get a little bit more time, you know, as that bullet's sliding down the freebore to burn powder. So the amount of time that the bullet stays stopped in the lands and grooves reduces turbulence.
Okay, so is the amount of time less when we add jump?
It's, yes, the amount of time that the bullet is stopped in the lands and grooves is reduced.
Okay.
And what we do is we lower our early peak pressure. So you can actually develop more velocity out of that as well.
Okay. So early peak pressure.
Right. So
what's that?
This is time and this is pressure. And as soon as you set it off, we get this huge spike of pressure. This is what I call your early peak pressure.
Okay.
And then as soon as the bullet starts down the barrel, it drops down a little bit, and then it kind of slowly goes out until the bullet leaves, and then it drops off completely.
Okay.
If we can cut this down, maybe have a little bit more gradual, because where the bullet's sliding down the barrel, and we don't have this super high peak pressure, we can actually develop more velocity in the long run. Because
it's more steady and gradual.
Yep.
Instead of huge explosion, wait, and then drop.
Right. We're not blowing primers out of the back of the case and everything like that.
Nobody wants that.
That's right. So, you know, if we can reduce the turbulence and that early peak pressure, we can actually do a little bit. And that's what kind of A.P. Ackley and Roy Weatherby found out. Like if you buy a Weatherby, like a Mark V or something like that, 378 or what do they have, that's probably got a ½ inch of freebore.
That's a lot.
It's a ton, man. So the bullet's not even in the case anymore.
You said inch, not thousandths.
Yeah. Half an inch.
Okay.
So 500 thousandths of an inch of freebore, which is about the length of the bearing surface of the bullet. So that bullet is completely out of the cartridge before it even hits.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so how do we measure it?
Yeah, exactly. So we've got a little Hornady tool here. It's a super neat little tool. It's a modified case. You just screw it into the back, and then you pick your bullet that you want. This is a 140 grain RDF. Okay. Pretty good shooting bullet, especially out of this. So what we're going to do, I'm going to insert this into the chamber, and then I'm going to push the bullet forward until it touches the lands and grooves.
Okay.
I'm going to tap on it a little bit, so what I'm doing is I'm getting probably a 5 thou jam or something like that. So it's actually kind of stuck into the.
Okay, so you're kind of forcing it a little bit. Okay.
And we're gonna measure it a couple times just to make sure.
Sure.
Okay, and then I've got, you know, a Mark sent me one of these short action customs, super accurate as far as, this is basically set up to be right on the bearing surface.
Okay.
It's, right at 6.5. This is probably, I don't know, Mark would have to let me know, but I think it's 262 or something. So it's gonna be almost perfect with the bearing surface of the bullet. Okay. All right. Let me go here.
So we've got,
Yep. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the bullet into the lands and grooves a little bit.
Okay.
And then tighten this down so it doesn't move. And we're going to have to pull this out. The bullet's going to be stuck in the lands and grooves.
Okay, and then we push it out just with
There we go. And then what we'll do is we'll measure it. We'll put it back in the case.
So the tool that you're using, it has I don't know, like a stick, something that stops, right? So that
Yep, it's this little cable guy right there. I'll take this apart here in a second. We'll take a look at it.
So now you should be getting the same when you test it again. Hopefully the same thing.
We're at 2.250. Okay, 2.250.
Now what does that mean?
That's from base to ogive. So, and then we talk about base to ogive. So the base of the case to the ogive of the bullet.
And the ogive is the
bearing surface. Yeah,
okay.
the fattest part
of the.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right. It's the ogive is actually the whole front kind of cone shape.
Okay.
But what we're trying to measure is to a set spot on that bullet every time. So that was 2.250. We need to write this down, or I'll forget it. Okay, let's try this one more time.
Can I try it this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And this is how it works. So you can see that.
Okay, I see.
Right?
Yep.
So what we want to do is we want to set it down in there deep enough like that, and then what you're going to do is get a running start at it and just kind of push it right into the landing grooves.
Yep.
Okay.
And so just kind of stop when I feel pressure?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now go ahead and just tap it a few times. Just grab it. There we go.
Okay, and then I tighten this down and pull it out.
Yep.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and put that guy in there. Here you go. Go ahead and measure it.
Yeah.
You go and do it. Oops, sorry.
It's okay.
I just stuck you with that.
That's
thing.
okay. So.
Yep.
Now, obviously, I'm new at this, so I put the bullet in.
Yeah, we want that little groove right there to be.
Okay,
yep.
I see.
Yep. It's cold out here, so it's super
Yeah, there we go.
sticky.
Okay.
And then push it all the way down in there.
Okay, and so we got. Oh, that's way different than what you got.
Is it?
Yep, 2.085. So maybe.
Yeah, let me check it out.
Okay.
Oh, we got a different. We pushed a.
We pushed a button. Okay.
Yep.
User error.
Oh, I know what happened.
Okay. So we got a
So we
zero.
just have to
Zero the
re-zero it
caliper.
out, yeah.
Caliper. Okay. There we go.
2.2515.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that's we know we're probably anywhere between 2.250 and 2.25151, which is we're talking a thousandth of an inch.
Okay, right.
Okay, so I feel pretty good about that data point. Now, all we got to do is what we're going to do now is we're going to load up a test. Okay. This is what the test is going to look like, and we'll go shoot it. And hopefully the jump node will jump out at us. Pretty good pun there.
That's a good dad joke, Scott.
It's a dad joke. That's right. So we're going to load, so 2.250 is going to be jammed. v2.0.
Can we bring this forward just a little bit? There we go. Okay.
That's going to be a jam. I put it together a couple days ago. It's a Deviant, a Defiance Deviant Ruckus. Actually, it's a Ruckus. This is a proof pre-fit. It's a 24-inch pre-fit. Nightforce NX8 and a Graybow stock. I bedded the stock, or I bedded the action of the stock a couple days ago. So just because it looked like fitment was going to be just a tiny bit loose, like the action was going to slide around a little bit. So
bedding it is you're kind of
filling in space. Really,
between the action and the stock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So are we gonna load a few up and take it out?
Let's take a picture of this real quick. Guys always ask me, where's your starting point for powder for something like this? And I'm pretty simple when it comes to stuff like this. So I went to the Hodgson website, 140 grain bullet. We're going to use IMR 7977.
Okay, that's the powder we're going to use.
That's the powder we're going to use. And then let's see what our charge is. Case overall length is going to be 2.80, but it's a different bullet, right? And that's overall length. That's from the base to the tip.
Okay.
But the max charge weight they say for this, which will give us like 2870 feet per second or something on a 140, is 56.8. So I'm just going to use that because that's typically, even the highest load off the Hodgson webpage is usually pretty tame.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
For obvious reasons. I mean, they don't liabilities, etc. So
right.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to go 56.8, and then we're going to load base to ogive all of these.
Okay. Cool.
Sound
let's
good?
do it. Yeah. Let's do it.
When we went back in, remember this one was jammed 22.250, and we have this huge lateral spread. I mean, that's terrible. That's unrecoverable. And then we jump 30. I mean, we could probably do something that with powder and velocity, etc., but
that's not the goal.
I don't want that.
You don't want it right in the lens.
That's right. And this is 30 off, and see, we still had a little bit of lateral spread here. not too bad vertically, but laterally, right? And then this is starting to shape up. I actually pulled that shot. Again, guys, I'm aiming right there, right on the 3 o'clock edge of the circle. We have 2 below, 1 above. Okay, this is kind of a turnoff for me because I want it to be above. If anything, while I'm, if I've got a rudimentary 0 and I start seeing rounds going above, I'm actually get pretty excited about that, because we get into what's called positive compensation, which is we've got our slowest bullet leaving the barrel with it deflected the highest.
Okay.
And everything else that goes a little faster is released lower. So that's how those bench rest guys are getting 1-inch groups at 1,000 yards. It's not and with an extreme spread of like 20-25 feet, they're fine with that if they're positively compensated, because the bullets are going to converge and they can actually kind of true that and time it up to where, some of the stuff they're doing and the way they tune their loads is really exciting and crazy. Not something that I really need to get into.
Right.
I'm just looking for something that's a little bit above like this. So, and this was 90 thou off. So we came back and this looked really good. It was a good tight little 1/2-inch group. And then we came back and I did 3 more at 80 thou and 3 more at 90 thou. This represents 9 shots between 80 and 90 thou off. So this is going to be before you go in, so we were started at 90 thou and then you said we went to 80, right? But why did you choose this one? Because it was above, and most of it was right on or a little bit above where my point of aim was.
Okay.
And just the shape of the group. It was like
right when we first looked at it, we had 2.
It was like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 2 in one spot and 1 way out. Or it was just a nice distributed group.
Okay.
Right. And we also have to keep in mind this is a 12-pound hunting rifle. If I get, less than 12 pounds, if I get a half a minute out of this, I'm going to be really excited about it. It's not a 22-pound 6 Creedmoor,
that I'm shooting.
That I expect to get, one whole group.
Right.
So this was exciting. So yeah, we're gonna do 80 thou off, and then so this was 120 off. See how we started kind of getting into some lateral stuff again, but then 150 off, it started to spark up again.
Sure.
I actually pulled that one too. That's my miss on a light gun. The gun just kind of settles down into the bag under recoil, and I can see it moving before the I'm done pulling the trigger.
You knew you pulled it, right?
Okay. So, and then what we did was, then we went and we did a velocity ladder. So, and we'll go back over it. This was with just 58.6 right from the book.
Grains of powder.
Okay. That's right. And then we went up by 0.2, so 57, 57.2, 57.4, 57.6, 8, 10, all the way up to 59.
So you're doing a ladder.
Doing a ladder. I'm just seeing where velocity, I'm trying to find, and it's just one. I'm gonna do one to start off with. Okay, so just one charge. That way I'm not using up a whole bunch of components, and I'm just gonna get in a broad brush of where is this thing gonna be happy. And it turned out to be like 57 point, and that's the group, right? This is the group that I shot, and that's all the way from 20 feet per second to 2960. So right, so now this isn't terrible. It's not, it's not like I shot that really slow either. I was just boom, boom, boom. I'm just trying to get the information. So, that still represents about an inch group, maybe a little more, and 150 feet per second difference. So that's telling me that I think my jump note is good.
Okay.
Right, does that make sense? There isn't a whole lot of vertical in there. There's some
So
lateral.
even with the speeds,
the
speed difference, you're not all over the place.
That's right.
Okay.
It's not too bad, right? And then, so I settled in on, I wanted 20, because I had, when we go back and take a look at the paper, we'll see I had like 4 shots in a row that were right around 2880.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that looks really good to me. And I could hot rod that case and go a lot faster if I wanted to, but do I really need to do that, right?
Right.
So, so in here is that 2880 node. So that's pretty tight. It looks just like that, and I mean that's probably me. That's probably me.
That's where
yanking the shit out of it. That's right. So I'm pretty excited. I think we're done. I think that's gonna be my load for this rifle. I'm gonna jump 140s, 80 thou, and I'm gonna try to get them going 2880.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. It took us. I mean, I typically don't even start 10 off. I don't even waste time with that. I usually start right here at like 50. I go 50, 80, 100, 130, and that's 12 shots. It tells me exactly what I need to do with, where I'm going to be, because I'm not interested in being 30 thou
off the lands, right?
Right.
And that all came with time and experience and lots of.
And just doing this, yeah.
Right.
And we're doing this for your viewers, just because I wanted to show them what jams look like, you know. And I could probably manipulate that around quite a bit with powder and velocity, but it's not worth doing.
Right, but because when you're jamming into the lands, you're eventually going to have throat erosion, right? Like we talked about, and you're going to be chasing this again and again and again later.
That's right. Or, worst case scenario, on a hunting rifle in a hunting match, we're out hunting and I have to unchamber the round and it gets stuck in there. And right?
Yeah, and then that powder goes everywhere.
Yeah, and I got a bullet stuck in my barrel, and
when you're out in the backcountry, nobody wants. Yeah, that's bad news. So, all right. Cool.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we worked out that we wanted 2.160 to base to Ojai, which that gives us like 80 thou jump. And then what we did was I just did a 1x ladder test, 56.8 all the way through 59 grains.
Okay.
And this was real sporadic through here. It was like 2840, then it went down actually 2820,
right,
and then it went back up to like 2860, and then it started to look really good here at 57.4s, 28.9, 2890, 0.2 of a grain higher, 2888, 0.2 of a grain higher. It actually went down.
But it's not that much.
Right, 2882, so we got 8 feet per second here.
Right.
And then at 58 grains, it went back up to 2890, and then all of a sudden it just jumped
to 2920.
To 2920 with 58.2 grains. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go and experiment right here in this zone. So I'm actually going to look from here all the way up, right? So I'm going to start in the middle. And if I get some wonky numbers, then I'm going to creep myself back down into this spot right here. And that's actually where we ended up. Was 57.4 seemed to be the bottom end of this node, and it was super consistent. I had one that jumped up to like 2919, which is weird. It's just weird, and it could be my brass. I mean, this brass is. It's from multiple different. It's mixed
Oh
yeah. Well, and it came from 143 LDXs. It also had some 147. And this is all. It all weighed about the same, but I mean it's Hornady brass. I mean if I get a 25 foot per second extreme spread out of it, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. And it's an accurate node. We shot it out there and it shot pretty tight.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yep. And that's how that node works. That's how this works, guys. A lot of people will go out and they'll be like, you can't get enough information off of one shot. And I'm like, I'm not trying to finalize the whole entire thing off this one shot. I'm just looking for information.
Right.
I'm looking for, just like the jump node, I'm only shooting 3-shot groups. Some people say 3-shot groups are insignificant. It's not. We just proved it. And some people will say that, one shot per powder charge isn't significant, but it gave me this right here. And then I shot 5-shot groups after that to verify, right? And to see where it was. So I started off at 57.7 and I got this like 35 foot per second extreme spread. So I was like, okay, that's not it. So then I went back down to 57.4 and we got like a 22, 23 foot per second extreme spread, which is I'm fine with that. Yeah, absolutely, because the amount of the amount of work that it takes to get lower than that is a change of cartridge or procedures and steps that I'm just not willing to spend that much time. I'm not willing to neck turn. I'm not willing to drill out the primer pocket holes, uniform everything. I just don't care that much. I don't want to work that hard to get good ammo.
And what we've seen, right? You've been shooting for a long time. You've been competing for a long time. And as they say, the proof is in the pudding, right? And so you're doing this. It's repeatable results
every single time. Yep.
So.
And it maximizes my time. I mean, and you guys are
We're right
this,
there, yeah.
Where your guys are loading for 2 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I would do that actually, because I mean, you figure I'll load probably 6,000 rounds a year ish,
and that's
4,000 to 6,000 rounds,
that's
right? You guys are probably loading 8.
If sometimes more, depending on other series that we're shooting.
And I don't really practice anymore, so that's just competition stuff.
Oh yeah, we got our practice rounds too. we're loading those. Yeah.
No. So yeah, it's just the least amount of time I can spend in front of my reloading stuff, the better.
So to recap, all right, so we figured out what our jump was going to be, and then we went to powder.
That's right.
And so we started out at 56.8, and then so the difference in 2/10 here, going 56.8 to 57.0 was 20 feet per second, right? So that's pretty significant. And then I can't read that number right there.
Is that it's like a 50?
50? Okay, so 2/10 there. That was like 30 feet per second, and then right here, everything started to really close up. Right, and that's why you chose to
experiment
right there.
Okay. 57.4 to 58 grains right in there is where I figured this got really exciting back in here.
Yeah, it sped up a lot.
It sped up a ton.
What do you think that was?
How
many?
It just kept climbing too, and it's pretty steady. This was kind of neat. At 58.2 is 29.20, 29.23, but then it just jumped and it just boom, it exploded. This isn't terrible, but it's still going kind of steady up 10 feet per second per 2/10.
Instead of like 2, 6.
Yep. Actually, this went down in velocity, which that always kind of piques my interest.
We've seen that before too.
Right, and that's one of those things I'm like, ooh, that in itself kind of indicates that you're in, for lack of a better term, kind of an equilibrium on pressure and power.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Awesome.
Good.
What's next?
Now what we're going to do is we're going to load up. I'm going to load up about 30 of these things, and tomorrow we're going to go true it up.
All right.
So we're going to take a look at vertical dispersion and then VC.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool.